Jimmy Kimmel had a suggestion for Donald Trump when picking his vice president if he does win the 2024 election. During the Thursday, November 30th episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, the talk show host, 56, showed a clip of Representative George Santos, who was expelled from the House on Friday, December 1st, praising the former president, 77. "I won't rest until I see Donald Trump back in the White House," Santos said. Of course, the comedian had a field day with the remarks, explaining the two would likely get along great since they always lie. "Wow, coveted George Santos endorsement," Kimmel joked. "Trump must be ecstatic. I think maybe we found his running mate. Wouldn't that be great?" Santos has become the sixth member to be expelled from the U.S. House after an ethics investigation. While in Congress, Santos was slapped with several federal charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, identity theft, credit card fraud, and lying to Congress. According to author Mark Chiusano, who wrote The Fabulist, the lying, hustling, grifting, stealing, and very American legend of George Santos, Trump paved the way for Santos. He is someone who is clearly very ambitious and wants to live a kind of wealthy life, a life of fame and notoriety, and he is trying to attain essentially a version of the American dream, which so many people have sought over the years, he said in an interview. The sad thing is that he realizes pretty early on that he's not going to get there, he's not going to be able to make a ton of money on Wall Street, he's not going to be as famous as the Real Housewives, for example. Because of the difficulty and grittiness of the usual road to the American dream, he decides to go a different route, he continued. He starts making everything up, rather than be like members of his family who just kept their heads down and worked hard and tried to build a life. He tries to take this shortcut, and the shortcut eventually catches up with him, and it's a real tragedy. He has no one to blame but himself, but he is in a very difficult place now. The author went on to add that Santos models himself pretty directly off Trump. Trump is this almost sui generis figure who is kind of shaping the Republican Party, and he himself is the result of all these other political forces outside himself. But Trump is a person who was already famous and already had at least a perception of being very rich and certainly had more resources that Santos did, he shared. You can see how someone like that was able to harness these crazy political forces and become president. What's interesting to me is the Santos story shows that even a regular person can be lying and shameless and get to office, and that is, in some senses, almost scarier than someone like Trump being able to do it. If there can be many Trumps who aren't as rich and powerful as Trump and still lie their way to office, that's a scary idea, he added.